Good morning and welcome to Thursday's Q&A call. Starting off right now, it's a little early, but there's only 2 of you on the call. So if there is something that you would like to see, please drop it in the chat box. Let me know what it is that you're learning or where it is that you're missing it in Mortgage Coach. If there's not a particular question that you have, let me know where you're at. If you're brand new or if you've been with us for a little while. So we just have one more jump on. Again, there's only 3 of you on the call. So if you do have questions, this is the time to get your questions answered. I did have an email sent to me, so I will be waiting for her to pop on. And when she pops on, I will go to her question because she sent it to me. So Lynn is brand new. Anyone else brand new? And you can raise your hand or drop it in there. Brand new. Learn the fastest way to prepare options. Perfect. Hi, Brandon. How are you? Okay, so for brand new, here is what you need to grasp from Mortgage Coach. Mortgage Coach is set up on the premises of you are going to use templates to speed yourself up. If you have set up your time, and that setup in the beginning when you first get your account is the most important thing. So you're either one of 2 accounts. You're a broker account, which is an individual, or you're an enterprise account with a company. If you are an enterprise account with the company, we will set up your closing cost templates. To have those set up, send me an email, tina@mortgagecoach.com, and I will send you back a worksheet because we don't know your fees, so we can set up those initial closing cost templates. If you are a broker account, you're by yourself, an individual, you will go into your settings in the fee templates. These are actually very simple to set up. It's going to be setting up, and Matthew, I'll have to look that up in a moment. When you go in here, there's a create new template. That's the only thing you'll see in here. Everything else is going to be blank. So clicking on that create a new template, you'll give it a name. What do I suggest here? If your FHA, USDA, VA, conventional, purchase, and refis all have different fees, I would set them all up so you would have 8 templates. So I would start off with, let's say I'm doing my conventional purchase. I would get my loan estimate out, and I would start by going down the list of the loan estimate, add fee. Normally the first fee is origination. So I would start with that origination charge. You can do it percentage or you can do it per dollar amount. Make sure you have APR marked on any that is APR. If you have a question on APR, it's different in every state. So ask your manager or your underwriter. I would then go through and add my next fee. Let's say my next fee is a credit report. And I'm typing the C to get to the C's, and then I can scroll down to find my credit report. Now mine is kind of a mess. Whoops. Because I've done a lot of specializing in here. So we're going to go back. And I don't even see my credit report. There it is. And let's say it's $79. Now you can choose to put it 1 person or 2, whichever one you most frequently see. And again, I would keep going through. Now the ones that I'm asked questions on, title and escrow. What do I do with title and escrow, Tina? With title and escrow, what you can do is one of 3 ways. You can put title in here, and I would suggest this with all 3 of them to keep them consistent. And then you can either do a dollar amount based on your average sale, a little higher than your average sale, a percentage based on the last 10 or 15 loans that you did, find what that percentage is. And then the last way to do it is to leave it as zeros, and you know you have to fill it in. So those are the 3 ways you can do title and escrow. Also make sure the paid by is set to the right person. So if you, as the lender, do not pay it, make sure the borrower is set to. The last thing I've been recently asked is the state tax. If you are in an area with state tax, bonds or anything extra, you can go in and add them as a custom fee. Whoops. State tax bond. And my typing is off today. There we go. So remember, if you are doing it, and most of these are on the percentage, but the property value. So make sure that you are selecting property value and then clicking on OK. Now on these, they're percentages. And if you divide them out, you take the smaller number, divide it by the larger, you will find out that it is like 0.0027 something. Now it only goes out 3. So whatever it is, once you place it in there, remember, round up if it's above 5, round down if it's below 5. Once you have one report done, it's easy to do the next one. I don't have to recreate and type in everything. All I need to do is come down here, click the Save As, give it a new name, click on OK, and make any adjustments I need. So once you do the one, that's how you can do all the others. This should take you, the first one's going to take you about maybe 10 minutes. After that, the ones after that should only take you a couple of minutes each. So that should be really fast after you do the first ones, depending on how many you're doing. I'm saying this is going to take you 20 minutes to 40 minutes to get done. I'm going to click Allow Talk to You on Sarah. Hi, Sarah. You can unmute yourself if you'd like. So the unmute is in the participants panel, or you can go up to your own panel and click on the mute button. There should be a menu bar. The mute is on the far left of that menu bar. And if it's hiding, you might have to go to the top. You'll see a little green tab. You might have to go to the top or the bottom of your screen to have it pop up in order to see that tab.
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure can. How are you today?
Oh, yay. I'm good. Thank you. Right. Crap.
It's all good. Just relax. I don't bite.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I've created a ton of templates, right? How do I, there's too many. Can I delete any templates?
You sure can. If you go over to the template side, you'll see that little X pop up. And all you do is click on that X, make sure that it's the one you want to delete, and click on OK.
Beautiful.
So super easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to mute you again, so if you do want to talk, feel free to unmute. So the next templates, after you get your fee templates in place, you're going to go in and get your product templates in place. If we build your fee templates out, you will find them in here, but you will not find them over here because they belong to the branch if we build them for you. So remember, if we are building them, you will not see them here, but when you go in here to build out your product templates, you will be able to find them in your product templates down in your closing cost, and you'll find a drop-down menu up here. So that's where, and you can see the ones labeled B, that's branch level. So if I did build them out for you or my team did, you'll find them in here under branch level, so you can still use them when you're building out your product templates. Product templates, same thing as the other ones, except for you're going to fill in now the fields that stay stagnant. So if I do a create new, I'm going to start. I'm going to do, let's do one that's a little bit more complicated. Let's do a VA first time use. That way we get some of the other aspects into it. So first time use, we are going to have an upfront premium. I'm going to put it on my VA, and this makes it say guaranteed fee instead of saying funding fee or saying upfront MI. So that's why you need to choose the correct upfront premium. Down payment percentage on this one is 0, but if I was doing another one with a down payment percentage, I would place that in there. Now on the funding fee, you can see it's over here. I can't click here. If I switch it over here where it shows the percentage, now I can place it in. I think it's 2.2 on first time. If I want to add it to the loan, I can click right here, and that way it's added automatically to the loan. I don't have to worry about that. Prepaid days of interest. I have two types of loan officers. I have the loan officer that wants to show middle of the road 15 days, and I have the loan officer that typically wants to show 1 or 5 days because they always try to close at the end of the month. So depending on which way you want to do it, you'll choose. Now on your templates, stay consistent. Whatever you do with one, you do with the next, and that way you know exactly in your mind as you use Mortgage Coach more often what that's going to be in the template, and if you do want to adjust it, you'll know where it's at. Term, it's going to be 360 for a 30-year. If I was doing an ARM loan, I could switch it over. I'm going to leave it as a fixed, and then I'll go in my closing cost. Clicking on my closing cost details, I'm going to add in my template. So I'm going to add in, do I have a VA in here? Let's do California VA. Adding in my template. If I wanted to make adjustments here, let's say someone from the office build out the templates, you're not crazy about the settlement fee they put in there, yours always tends to roll a little lower, you can go in and adjust it. Now it's going to stick in this template, so you don't have to go back and redo it. And then all you need to do to save it is apply it to the loan. That's going to save it for you so it automatically updates. Now you'll see my APR and my non-APR cost are in here. And finally, I'm going to go to my monthly cost. Again, this is up to you how you do it. Hazard insurance, you can use a dollar amount or a percentage. Here in SoCal, I can use a percentage really easily. Property tax, again, you can do the same thing. Here's the question I get on property tax. All my counties are different, Tina. Great, that's okay. Build out a template for each county. Trust me, building these templates in the front end is going to make it easier for you in the back end and faster. So I'm going to do my property tax percentage. Then I'm going to come down here and again, deciding how you want to do it. Some people put all the months that would be possibly required. Some put middle of the road on the tax and the hazard reserve months. Those are your prepaids that are brought in for escrow. And clicking off, now I have a product built that all I really need to do is add my percentage, my interest rate in there when I am building out the product. Any questions on the product template? Hi Karen, I did get your email and we'll touch on that when we go in and we build. So I will jump into your account and look at yours too to make sure you did it right. Okay, once I have my product template, then I can come over here. If you have a new account, you have strategy templates already built in. These strategy templates are just multiple product templates. That's all it is. Anytime there's different types of loan scenarios that you would show, you can put them already into a blank presentation in order to make it faster for you. So if you want to go into strategy templates you already have built in there, FHA versus conventional is one that should be already tucked in there for you. I have a bunch from showing samples. Okay, FHA versus conventional. First thing you're going to do is go in and edit the template. I recommend 3 spots to edit. The first one is I'm going to click on contact and add your new home. If you are working the purchase business, most of the time they don't have this already established, the address, so your new home, and if you only produce in one state, add that state. What am I doing? I'm eliminating keystrokes. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my FHA. All I need to do now that I built those product templates is simply drop in my FHA product template. So I would go in, whichever one's appropriate, drop in that FHA, click on OK. Everything should be dropped in. Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to do the same thing to my conventional. I'm going to simply drop in that product template for my conventional loan. So I want a 20% down. Nope, I'm looking at a 5% because I'm comparing it to an FHA. This one has This one has monthly MI. Now I have the two in there. Last thing, if you want, you can go into your analysis area, set up your analysis area based on your average client. The only areas you need to fill is these top three and this bottom one here at the bottom. Those are the ones. What do you show here? Depends on the type of loan scenarios. So if I'm showing points versus no points, I'm more likely going to show total net worth. If I'm showing VA loans, I'm not going to probably choose interest in MI. I would choose one of the other two. So it really comes in to show that. So if I have to go in again to the detail and add another custom fee, if I click apply to loan, will it double the fees? No, it will not double the fees. So now if I want to use this template, I'm going to go into my strategy templates and I'm going to choose that template. Let's see if I can find it again. I'm going to copy it to a new client. I'm going to go up. I have another question. Yes, Christy, send me an email. And Christy asked, I don't have strategy templates. Can I get them? Send me an email, tina@mortgagecoach.com. I'll drop those strategy templates into your account for you. But please note, when I drop the strategy templates, it's also going to drop in some examples into your clients. And so any clients that you have, you might have to go into the search engine to find them, or you'll have to scroll down below the strategy templates to find those clients. You're welcome. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to build it out. First thing I'm going to do is switch it to individual. I'm going to give my client a name. I'm going to add a phone number. Adding that phone number, make sure that it's on the alert. Every time my client looks at the presentation, I'm going to get that email that says how long have they looked at the presentation, when they looked at the presentation, and if their email's there, or if their phone number's here, it's going to be on that alert. So you don't have to go back and look it up. Again, just a time-saving thing. If it takes more time for you to look it up and place it in here than you to look it up and call them, then I would not place it here. I would just look it up and call them. It really comes down to what's going to save you the most time. If you are working with referral partners, you can add their information. They will not receive a copy of the presentation. They will simply receive that alert that says, hey, the client looked at the presentation. Your job as the loan officer is to say, this is passive communication. I want to keep you in the loop. I want to make sure you're aware that the client and I are working together. There's nothing for you to do when you get those alerts. And finally, presentation name. On that presentation name, what this is going to do is it's going to be listed in the search engine. So the next time I go in to do something for Lisa, I can stack it underneath there, or I can make sure that I know which presentation's which by looking at this presentation name. Contact information. I can either add to this or I can leave it alone. This top and bottom part do not show up in the presentation. There's already a goal in there, so I can go right to my assumptions. The little red indicator says, Tina, this is a minimum field that needs to be filled in. So I'm going to fill in the loan amount that they qualify for, $300,000, or the purchase price they qualify for. I can skip everything else because nothing else is required here. Nothing is required in the affordability or the expenditure. That's simply for you. Going to my FHA, all I need to do now is drop in my interest rate on my FHA. Now I can go to my conventional 30-year. I'm going to drop in my interest rate on my conventional 30-year. If I needed to change something, let's say I go to my closing cost and I'm going to add a down payment assistant program. I can click add fee and it stopped on me. There we go. It added it twice. And I can go in, add that down payment assistant, apply it to the loan. It is not going to change my template. It is only going to be in this single loan that I did the change in. If I dropped in a new template, it takes everything out and replaces it with that new template. Last thing I'm going to do on this one, if I am doing points, make sure you can do points here. You can also do a lender credit here by doing a negative number. And then if I need to change my MI factor, I can come in here, change my MI factor if I want, or I can leave it. You can see I rounded it a little high. And finally, I have a complete presentation. There is nothing I need to do. I simply can go to my preview screen, add my quote date, because that protects me just in case they come back and say, you said, and then click on my preview. That shows that I have a complete presentation. So let's say that we are working on a loan scenario. And I'm going to go into, does anyone have any questions on those 3 templates? Trust me, you establish those 3 templates, you are going to be fabulous. And there is one way that you can build out a template all by yourself. You click on new client. Is this a strategy template? Click yes, give it a name. Let's say I'm doing points versus no points. I go into my goals. I choose purchase a new home. I go into my product. I add my first loan. I'm going to say this is on a 30-year fixed. I add from product template. 20% down, 30-year fixed. And I'm going to add here without points. I'm going to go to my second, or this second page, or the third page of that 30-year. The bottom of here is where it says add another product. So I'm going to add another product, and I'm going to go back in. This is a 30-year with points. And I'm going to come to your question in a moment. Now I have one of 2 ways. This is the exact same loan as this. I can just drop that product template in because it was all there, or I can simply copy from there as well. Either one's going to give you the same effect. Now I can say I'm always going to show them 2-point option, because normally when people see ads online or if they see a commercial, it already has 2 points in there. So I'm going to add my 2 points automatically. Everything else is stagnant. If I do want to change my analysis page, I'm going to go in there, make adjustments that I want, and then my template is ready. So I did this template on purpose because I'm going to go in and show what Karen wants to see. So I have a lot of clients. Some are dupes I created before I know how to modify one. I was told my company won't let me eliminate them. Can I hide the dupes or change the name to start with a Z, assuming I can sort alphabetically? Absolutely. Sarah, so if you go into your search all, and you can just click on search, it's going to bring up all of your clients. So once you bring up all of your clients, scrolling down, you'll be able to see your clients. Now there's 2 things I want to show here. First one is, what if I have a client that comes back to me and I do want to build underneath that same client? Instead of starting with new client, I'm going to start in here. I'm going to find that client. I'm going to open up the folder, and you'll see there's purchase where I named it in that spot. I'm going to click on purchase, and a menu opens up here. Now, if what Brad is doing is similar to the first purchase I did, I can copy that one. If Brad is doing a whole different transaction, I can click add analysis, and it's going to start from scratch but have Brad's information in there. Are you sure you want to start? Yes. So now I'm going to rename this sample 2. Now this is where I'll be able to identify them. I would then add products, and I would do anything I need in there. Now when I come back and I click on search, I can go in there, click Brad's name. Now you're going to see sample 2 and purchase. Now what if I wanted to go in there, like she said, and name them with a Z to push them to the bottom? I'm going to go in and find one that I have because I have names that I do use multiple times. So I'm coming down here. I have two errands here. If I click on here, it's going to tell me the date and information. This is how I'm going to be able to identify which one I want to throw to the bottom. I'm going to say I want to throw this one to the bottom. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to open the analysis, and I'm going to put that Z in front of her name. Then I'm just going to click back onto Mortgage Coach. So now when I go in there and search, she is going to be the very last client unless I have something, a client behind her. We're going to check. So I do have some, but you can see she's thrown down here. So Christy, I never fill in the tax bracket or the debt payments, but when I listen to the video about Mortgage Coach Black Belt, I hear about going into their savings with tax write-offs. I wonder if I could do better for my client by entering the tax information and entering their debt payments or anything. It seems in the past when I've tried, those numbers affect other numbers and they didn't get straightened out until I cleared all the parts that you skipped past earlier. Okay, Christy, here's, and are you talking on a refi? If it's on a refi, I never recommend filling them in on a refi. The only time I fill it in, okay, so let's talk about both ways. And Karen, I promise I'm going to get to your question. If you do need to jump, let me know and I'll jump right to your question. So she's talking about the tax benefit. So here's my rule of thumb. On a refi, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to fill out the tax bracket information. So we're going to go in here, and she's talking about in this affordability section, there is your tax bracket information. If I live in an area where the average home sale is under $279, I am probably not going to fill out the tax information unless I am trying to focus on working with financial advisors. So on financial advisors, I will fill it out, and my conversation with my client will simply be, based on the information I'm showing you, there will not be a tax benefit. However, I don't have your full tax picture. The only way that we can do this is to involve your tax advisor because I'm not a tax professional. Is that okay? Now we know 7 out of 10 people don't have a tax advisor. What this is now for you is it is a referral. So you'll have that ability now to bring them in as a referral and say, you know what? I have someone who would be more than happy to come have a conversation with us. There's no obligation whatsoever, but they can go through it and talk to you about the tax benefit. That's the number one thing. So if, on the other hand, I live in a community, I live in Southern California, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a tax benefit on the home if it's a single person or couples. So I'm going to probably always fill this in because I know it's going to be an advantage. How do I fill it in? First off, you always have to have the standard deduction because this is the baseline. Everyone gets this standard deduction regardless. So that standard deduction, let's say I don't know what it is, click up here on the little pencil and there's a cheat sheet. I can go in and fill that standard deduction in. So I'm going to say standard deduction is $1,200 or $12,000. Tax bracket percentage. If you do not know what their tax bracket percentage is, there is a find tax bracket button. Clicking on that button takes you over to the federal government site. Super easy. So if you go in there, tax bracket, taxable income, find where their taxable income is, and you can put it in there. Or you can come down here and say, tax bracket, filing status, married, actually I did single. Taxable income, let's say 78,000. Clicking on that calculate, it's going to tell me tax bracket is 22%. So now I can go over here and put that 22% in. And last thing is, make sure that you have this correct. These are the only 3 things you need to fill in for the tax bracket. So if that's the only thing you're concerned about, that's where you need to fill it in. Now remember, if my home is under 279,000 or roundabout, depending on the interest rate, a single person is not going to see a tax benefit. If my home is around, I think it's like 455 right now for a married couple, you are not going to see a tax benefit if it's less than that. And it's simply because the tax benefit is based on the interest of the home divided by the 12. It's the same way we configure the tax benefit when doing the standard deduction. This divided by 12, the number of months multiplied times the 22%. So on the interest of the home, it would be the interest of the home divided by 12 multiplied times the tax bracket. Now, if you're working with a refi, and I'm going to switch this to a refi really quick. Oh, it is. Then there is one area that I always like to talk about when you're filling in the current mortgage. Let's say you are doing a debt consolidation and you're filling this in. There is a field over here that says other. We are actually working on a true debt consolidation, so you may want to just ignore this and just wait for that to pop out. It's supposed to be first quarter, but always know you can change the word other to whatever it is you're paying off or you want to reflect in the payment. So once I put credit card 300 and I do that copy, then it's going to copy that credit card. So if I'm rolling that debt in, remember to delete this out on that copy. That way it doesn't reflect in the DTI and show them paying a higher payment than what they're paying because they're rolling that debt in. Does that make sense? And looks like no questions on that. I am going to go back. I'm going to build out a points versus no points. Actually, Karen, can I just jump into your account if you're still on here? Yeah. Karen, can I jump into your account and you can just raise your hand if it's okay? So credit card payments, remember on that credit card payments, perfect, thank you, Karen, that you can go in when you're building out the credit card payment into the assumptions area on the current monthly mortgage in the monthly cost area where it says credit cards and add that credit card debt in. If when you do a refi, the first step is to copy from your current loan scenario, then you switch it to a refi, then you make your changes. If you are rolling the debt for this credit card into your payment, into the house loan, then make sure you come in to this area, and I'll do it really fast just to show you. So I'm going to copy from the current loan, and then is this a refi? Yes, it is. And then I'm going to increase the base loan amount. I'm just going to say I'm going to increase it 10,000. So they have $10,000. And then when I do that, I'm going to go add in my closing cost. And I'm just going to randomly pick stuff just so I can do it fast. I'm going to add my prepaid days of interest. And the last thing I want to do over here is delete those credit cards because I'm rolling them in, and I'm going to add my months. So now that is done. Perfect. So I'm going to go over to Karen's file or her account. So Karen did this the right way, and I can't say how many times that I suggest doing this. She emailed me before class and she said, "Hey Tina, I'm having a problem. Here's where my problem is. can you jump into my account during class and show I will be on there? So in that email, she gave me information on who the client is and what the issue is at hand. So I'm going to go into that file if I can find it. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Christy. Okay, so Karen wants to know the break-even point. We're going to go back to the analysis area. This is where you're going to be able to determine that break-even point. So she does have her current loan turned on this. Is this a refi? Reinvestment strategy. Let's go over here. Okay. So if I want to know the break-even point, and right now she's showing 5 months is the break-even point, I'm going to put 1 month in here. So 1 month, it's going to cost them money. I'm going to move it to 10 months. 10 months, you can see this is getting close to the break-even point because it's almost zeroed out or close to that zero. Let's put 12 months. Now you can see that 12 months, somewhere between the 11th and 12th month, it has become a break-even point. Whoops, too high. So it's closer to 12 months on this one. Does that make sense, Karen? Perfect. So if I wanted to, let's say this isn't the one I'm looking at the break-even point. I'm looking at this one as the break-even point because they're going to build higher reinvestment, and that's where the most important part for them. So what did it just do? It just jumped me from one spot to another. Okay, so I'm going to work with this one. So now I'm going to say, where's the break-even point with that one? So this I know was about $1,000. So for this one, I'm going to guess it's about 22 months. Whoops. So it's less than 22 months. Let's put 15. And I just come through again. Here's the break-even point, 18 months. This reinvestment strategy is going to pay off. They're not paying any more money. That's the same payment as their current. However, they're going to have a lot more in their reinvestment. And just Karen, on this one, the principal paid, I would actually be showing total net worth because you're showing that reinvestment strategy. And I don't see, I'm going to go into your reinvestment strategy and look. So reduction payments, you're doing a reduction payment instead of a reinvestment strategy. So if I was doing reinvestment strategy, I would actually take this payment, $789, I would put it down here. This is a principal reduction payment that you're showing right now. I'm going to reduce your principal reduction payment, and I'm changing this up. Normally I wouldn't change your stuff like this, but I know Karen has already told me she's done with this client. So that's the only reason why I'm going in and making adjustments for her. And then I would come down and I would say, okay, based on that reinvestment or that investment strategy, what's their rate of return? I'm going to say I can get them a 5.5 rate of return. And now when I go over into here, it's going to show me that extra money over here in that mustard color. So this is a reinvestment strategy here. The other one you were showing was a principal reduction payment. So now this has changed a little bit because of that interest. Instead of 18 months, I would probably go with 19 months. Yes. So if this way that I have it now is probably the best way to show it to her, because that financial advisor is going to look and say, oh, look, they're putting me into the deal. And I did click allow to untalk or allow to talk. If you unmute yourself, you're welcome to talk as well.
No, this is perfect. Thank you so much, Tina. You clarified it
You're
perfectly.
So, yep, if you have any questions, feel free. You know, you can hit me up in either here or online in the Facebook group. If anyone's not in that Facebook group, it is a plethora of knowledge. So, if you're not in there, I'm going to give link for the Facebook group. And the Facebook group, the funny thing is, most people think it's mortgage coach driven. Honestly, it is driven by the loan officers. I just admin it and make sure that people are not trying to go in there and throw a bunch of ads to you, or people are not trying to go in there and pluck out loan officers that they're recruiting. I don't allow any of that. It's only allowed to be information that's relevant and things that will help you guys. So any other questions that someone has? And the amazing thing is I did remember to record this, as most of you, anyone who normally jumps on and asks for recording knows that I don't tend to remember to record. I just get so excited because this is my favorite class that I forget to record it. So, and in order to get the link to that, you do need to email me, tina@mortgagecoach.com, in order to get the link to the recording, because I will not remember after class. Marketing videos. So we have in our YouTube a ton of videos. My suggestion is to go into that YouTube, and I'm in the back end, but when you go to our videos, use the search in our channel to find videos. Once you click on marketing, you'll see a ton of them. And if you see one of these you want me to drop the link to, you, Sarah, down in there, let me know. But the big one that everyone has been changing their marketing to is that story brand marketing. That's where everyone's really talking about changing it. And I clicked allow to talk.
I love this mute unmute. I just want to know, how do I mute my teenager when I don't want to hear him anymore?
You know what? I have 4 kids and I've been working on it for a while. The oldest is 26, the youngest is 16. And if there was a mute button, I would have used it a long time ago on the 2 oldest ones.
Right. So you were just mentioning something about the one that people are most using is a blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what you said,
Story
but I'm
brand?
curious about that.
Okay.
Story brand. Yeah.
Let me go in and give the link to this one. This is a great video. Whoops, that's not the button I wanted to push. I'm dropping it down in the panelist link for you. This one is great about story branding, and there's several in there about story branding, but it really comes down to, instead of you just pushing over and doing basic marketing, that you go in and you're telling your story and why you're in mortgage. And because what most people don't realize, after 2008, the whole business in most people's eyes is very corrupt. And us as loan officers are not a positive thing. Like, people do not want to buy a house because every loan officer is bad. And reality is, especially those who made it through 2008, are more concerned about getting in, helping people save their house, or helping people be able to buy what they want, accomplish that so-called American dream. So to be able to tell your story, why you're in the business, why you do what you do, before you go into the so-called sales pitch. That it's not really so much a sales pitch once you tell them and you connect them to you emotionally, based on making sure that they're aware of why you're in the business. And Robert, I saw you raise your hand. Do you want to talk? If you do, you can raise your hand again. I'll unmute you. Okay. So, yeah, definitely get to know story branding. Figure out what your story is. That is the most important thing. Why do you do what you do? Because if you can express that over to people and let people know, you know what, I'm not in this for the money. That's not, I mean, it's great. We make great money in the business. However, that's not why I'm here. And you only make great money if you're doing the work. There's a lot of loan officers in our business that aren't making money, just like there's a lot of real estate agents out there that are not making money because they're not putting in the work. So once you're that making money and you're doing what you need to do, you need to make sure you have that story so you can disconnect mortgage lenders from being bad people and letting them know we're there to help out. We're not there to just make a paycheck. And that comes along with doing your annual mortgage reviews and staying in connection with your borrower and making sure that they're aware that you're like the doctor of mortgage. You're just not another loan officer, that you want to stay in their life and you want to be able to assist them. The average person buys 5 to 7 homes throughout their life. And if you're just hitting that person, getting that loan, and then never following up, your back pipeline has more money in it and takes less effort for you to get that client back than it takes you to go out and market yourself in the business and work in the business. So if you have been in the business for years and you're not working your past pipeline, then you are actually working harder than what you need to work. And a lot of loan officers don't realize that, because once you build that connection with the clients, especially if it's a client that gave you a 5-star review, maintain that relationship so when that client's ready the next time, when Joe calls him and says, hey, you need to refinance, and he does, and you didn't call him, you're the only one to blame, because you should be connecting with your past clients just as much as you are with your current clients. So any other questions now that I'm off my soapbox? And again, you can raise your hand or type it in, either one, depending on if you have a mic. We do have about 15 minutes, so plenty of time to go into anything pretty much. You're welcome, Lynn. So does anyone in here want me to go, and you can raise your hand, dive a little bit into annual mortgage review and what I would do?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, let's go into annual mortgage review. So let's say I already have a client that I did a presentation for, and I'm going to put in a random name in here. So here's my client's names. I'm going to say, what's the last one I did? 2018. This one was the one that I did. And you can see this one was an annual mortgage review, so I don't want to use that one. So I'm going to find one that's a purchase. Let's do the counteroffer one. So here's where my client went in and they did a counteroffer. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this analysis to the current client and click on OK. That's going to give me 2 identical presentations. So what I need to do first is, when I do a presentation, at the end of that presentation, I would go in and I would click on presentation, and whichever one that they did, so I'm going to say they took the counteroffer, I'm going to turn only that one on. Yes, it is recorded, Robert. Send me an email, tina@mortgagecoach.com, requesting it, and I'll get it over to you. So I'm going to know when I go into this, without me having to remember, oh, which one did he take? I can just go to presentation and I can go, oh, he took the counteroffer. So I'm going to go in there and click on counteroffer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click on my little caret up here, and there's a note section. And in that note section, I'm going to place certain things. Base loan amount. And I'm doing this because I need to rebuild out the presentation. And then the interest rate. Date of first payment, and that's not on here. You would know just by when it was, when you looked it up. So I did this, I don't remember, it was 2018 something. So let's say the first payment date was 3 of 2018. This is pretty much the base loan information that I need in there. So then once I go in there, I can go back over here and I'm going to start with my goals. It now needs to be switched to any of the ones that do a refi. I like just clicking other because I control my own numbers. In my assumption, the current property value, what is today's appraisal value of this home that he purchased for $333? I'm going to say the property value went up to $355. Now I'm going to fill in the current information. I have my first payment date right here, 3 of 2008. So I can go, I clicked on the little arrow, 2018, third month, and pick a date. Original loan amount was $268. Interest rate was 4.25. You can see how easy it was for me once I have that first one. Now, if I don't have a TCA already created, what am I going to do? I'm going to go pull the loan information from online or my CRM or wherever I have it tucked away, and I'm going to pull out this information. I'm going to leave this auto update balance because based on interest rates today, I really can't do anything for them. So I'm just going to leave it as blank or as auto update. What this does is every year it's going to come in and it's going to update this balance for me, so I don't have to go in and put any new information in there. Monthly cost, I'm going to put the actual dollar amount. I do not want to use percentage because then if I do a refinance, let's say they went in and they charged up all of their credit cards for Christmas, and now we need to roll it in the debt because they can't afford what they did. It happens, whatever. I'm going to do, at that point, I'm going to do a refinance. But first I would have to have that annual mortgage review conversation before I would be able to do that. Now I can go in to here. Once I go in here, it's going to take a little bit more work because I already put some information in here. But the first thing I do is I just copy that current loan scenario. So the current loan scenario, then I'm going to switch it to yes, it's a refi. So now you can see all my information is in here. Oh, it did clear out. So it wasn't clearing out the closing costs and stuff. So that all cleared out. So we're good. So that's the only thing I have to do. I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that to the next one. And I actually need to rename these. This is going to be principal reduction. And again, copying from the current. I'm going to get rid of this. Let's go back to the first one and rename it from current offer to investment. Now I'm going to go back into my analysis area, work in my analysis area, my adjust reinvestment strategy button when it pops up. And I'm going to do the two things. Investment opportunity. I'm going to put my investment, what's the average rate of return, and let's say I'm going to only show them $100 investment. I would only show them $100 principal reduction. And so that is complete, super easy. The last thing I need to do is I need to go back to that presentation page, turn on the 3 that I'm using, make sure that the one I'm not using is turned off. So when I go into my preview, then it just shows those options. Now, conversation I'm going to have with my clients is a little different. The conversation I'm going to have with my clients, first of all, you should be reaching out to them first via email. Send them a copy of this. Highlight anything that you want to show them. Second thing is, if they do not respond to the email and set up a time to have a conversation with you, because you should be having a conversation, then you should have someone or yourself, depending on if you're a team or you're by yourself, reach out to them to schedule an actual meeting or leave an email that says, hey, I sent you over an annual mortgage review. Let's get together to discuss it. What am I going to discuss? Just a few basic things. I'm going to talk about one, how's your family? How's everyone doing? You know, if they do have elderly parents, and I know, I'll ask about the elderly parents' health, because I'm looking at things that will make their housing situation change. Bye, Karen. Have a great day. So if it's going to make their housing payment or housing situation change, maybe their parents are getting really ill, the next question is, you know what, I'm really sorry, but what's going to happen if they can't take care of themselves? Are they going to end up moving in with you? Would you guys need to purchase a new home? Like, let's go ahead and make sure that we can set that up financially. Then after I ask, how's the house, or how's the family, how's the house? Is the house meeting your needs? Then I'm going to ask if they've done anything with their house loan that we have together. So have you pulled out a second loan? Is there anything I'm unaware of on the house? Are you comfortable with your current house payment? And the last thing I'm going to ask is, I'm just going to ask, you know what? I want to make sure that you're connected with some great people if you don't already have them in place. So I'm just going to ask you a few people, rate them on 1 to 5. Are they great or are they not so fabulous? And you let me know, or if you don't have one, let me know and I can get one. How's your current insurance policy, both your home and your auto? Make sure you have a group of referral people that you can refer to. Second one, how is your current financial advisor? Do you love them? Are they just there? So go through any referral that you have in your referral pocket and ask them how they're doing. Now, if they say, you know what, my financial person is a 2, but that's my Uncle Joe, don't touch it. That's not the purpose. The purpose is just to pull out referral bases or to make sure that they're connected with someone. So after I have that conversation with them, let's say they do tell me, hey, you know what, we went in and charged up our credit cards. You know what, it's not going to be a problem. Let's look if refinancing does make sense to you. Let me throw in some numbers. I'll send you over a new total cost analysis and we can go over it together. I want to make sure you're good in a great financial position. Any questions on that? It's actually pretty easy, and normally I did mine during the winter because that was the time where I had more downtime and it was a little easier for me. So if you're right now going, I need leads, or what should I be doing right now, and you haven't touched that past book of business, it's a great time, especially right now after Christmas. So Kim, yep,
Tina, oh,
go
sorry. Tina, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, so I'm sorry, I don't get what you were showing with this big orange bar. Investment opportunity. Were you talking about buying an investment property or doing something? I missed because I was trying to sign on here in the office and I
No,
missed
this
a little
is
bit.
if they were to put money into an investment payment, and I did something wrong in there. I think I did these backwards. So if they put money into an investment payment, and let me go through, I'm going to go back in here. In the analysis area, reinvestment strategy, and make sure everything looks fine in there. Oh, for some reason it didn't copy over right. So that's why it's showing different. But I put money into an investment payment. Does that make sense now?
So there was some overhead announcement. So what you're saying is don't pay this on the house, but pay it instead toward the mortgage. I mean, pay it instead toward an investment, or just start paying more into your investment accounts so you can make this much money? What was the?
Correct. Either way, if I already know they have an investment account, I would say, you know what, if you apply an extra 100 towards that account, and in that case, if I know that they have an account and I even know like what their last balance was, I might even go in and throw in that balance in here so they can see where that starting point would be.
So it has nothing to do, you're not touching their mortgage. You're just
I'm not
saying,
touching their mortgage.
this is what you,
Yep. In this case, there was nothing I could do for this client. This client just purchased in 2018. Their interest rate was 4.2. I just want to get back in front of them. So if they do decide to do something, I'm the person they come to.
is there any way that we can set it up automatically so that when we're doing an annual review, that it will be tracking based on what we think is the property appreciation and what we think is the way that the loan is amortizing, assuming they're not paying anything extra, what the equity in their home is looking like over time as it increases, because once it gets to a certain percentage, why then it's time to go ahead and buy another one. So is there some way that we can, just start showing how that equity is building up
The only
for
thing
them, or is that already in there?
it shows in, it'll show net worth here because of what I'm showing, which in the investment, of course, is part equity. In these, it's equity that's showing.
So in the beginning, when we're talking to them about this loan, we say that in 5 years, your equity will be this.
Yep.
Okay.
If you set, and you would set that long-term analysis area to 5 to show it, and then I would be able to go in here and say, based on 5 years, you're going to have this much equity.
Okay, so when we're doing an investment, when we're doing an annual review, we can just use the old thing that we did and just ask for a different time horizon. Say,
Correct.
okay, this is what it's going to look like in 7 years if we're talking to them 7 years later. 7 years later, and we can say,
The only thing
you now
is,
have this much equity.
yeah, if you base it off of the old TCA, the start date is different. So you have to create a new one, placing that old one as your current loan.
Why would the start date? We're talking about their current loan, and it's been being paid down, and oh, okay, so there's no way to go in and say, because we know you did take out this current loan, and because we know that you have been paying this much each month, these are all assumptions, and because we know that the property is going to appreciate at the value that we put in there, we know now that at X number of years, this is how much equity you do have. We can't do that without creating a new.
Yeah, I would go in, but once you create a new one, like next time I want to go in and do, and this one I would name annual mortgage review. So then I only have to recreate it once. Now, every year afterwards, I can use this same one. So only the first year after you have their loan, then you create the annual mortgage review, then you use the same annual mortgage review. You don't have to recreate a new annual mortgage review every time. Does that make sense?
Because the one we created in the beginning to use with the total cost analysis issue was just showing options, but didn't have anything set as a current. And now we're going in and saying, okay, this is the current, the
Yep.
one we just told them. Okay, I got it.
Exactly.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to move on. Chrissy, I know you had a question. Can we show a strategy next to a purchase? Yes, you can. So I'm going to show you really quick on how you would do that. So if you go in, you're going to set it up like it's a refinance strategy initially. And then once you do that, you can do your refinance here as your first option. This would be refinance. You would go in, copy, click it on refinance, add your closing cost, just like you normally would for a refinance. And I'm just stepping through it a little bit just in case you're not as savvy with Mortgage Coach. I'm going to add my prepaid days of interest. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to add my months. But let's say the next one I want to do is to show them a purchase. I'm going to name this purchase, but I'm going to start from scratch. So instead of me doing the refinance, I'm going to do the purchase on this one. And I'm going to decide what my purchase price is going to be. Let's say purchase for $400,000. Down payment, 20%. Interest rate, and I would just do it like a normal purchase at this point. So does that make sense? And Christy, I clicked allow to talk.
Okay, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, sorry. So I asked a second question and I already had it typed up and sent it before. So it does make sense, but what I'm talking about is the client is looking at purchasing a home and then in the future refinancing that home. And so I tried to build it out, and I haven't gone through and really combed through it to make sure that I wasn't making a mistake somewhere. But I put in what the value of the home will be after he's done with his renovations. And so it said, oh, you have $10,000 equity. And I'm like, great, I need to roll in closing costs to that. And so, but when I tried to do that, it kept showing that there were closing costs, even when I tried to reduce the equity or increase the loan amount. And that actually ties in a little bit to my next question about showing, like when you do a refinance, do you roll in the closing costs to the loan amount, or how do you handle that in Mortgage Coach?
You can. If you want to roll in the cost, that's a really easy one. You'll click over onto your monthly pay or your closing cost page. Click on your closing cost. There's a little button down at the bottom, add all fees to loan. Apply it to the loan. And then you'll see I have a little remaining amount. That's my prepaid days of interest. Add prepaid days of interest to the loan. So now
okay,
it needs zeroed out. So that's how you add it. Now, if I'm doing that purchase and I'm, are they keeping the other home or are they selling the other home?
No, so he's selling his current home and he's looking at doing a VA renovation loan. So, and it has a really high interest rate. And so then he's like, well, after 6 months, can I refinance? And I'm like, yeah, let's get you out of that into a lower rate. But then, so I wanted to show him what it would look like to do that long term. And that's where I'm getting stuck.
Okay, so that one takes a little bit more time and effort to do. So I would start with a purchase and do his purchase. And then I would go in and find out that time frame that he wants to, or he's thinking he'll be able to do his refinance. Go into your amortization schedule and look at that loan for the refinance. I'm going to use the refinance to look at. So let's say that he's going to refinance, he thinks, in 19 months. I'm going to go into here and I'm going to find what is that balance going to be in 19 months. That's going to be my new balance when I put in the next loan. So then I'm going to label it as refinance. I'm going to start with this amount as a refinance, and then I'm going to be able to add in the information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that is, you're not building out a new TCA, you're still doing that within the same one?
Yep, I can build it all into the same one. So it would just be my next product would be called refinance, and my starting amount would be based on wherever it would be in the amortization schedule.
Okay, and where did you go again to find the amortization? Oh, right there. I see it in the presentation screen.
Yep,
okay,
in the presentation screen.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're a little over time. Thank you guys for those who stuck around. I hope that this was helpful. If you do want a copy, feel free to email me, tina@mortgagecoach.com, and I will get you a copy. And otherwise, have a fabulous weekend, and hopefully I see you again next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.